As 2026 draws near, the war between Russia and Ukraine has clearly entered a new phase. This is no longer a conflict characterized by rapid breakthroughs, dramatic offensives, or the expectation of a decisive outcome in the short term. The notion of a swift victory has long faded. What remains is a prolonged and unforgiving confrontation, one defined by endurance, industrial capacity, logistical resilience, and national psychological stamina. In this environment, Russia appears increasingly at ease with the nature of the conflict. Ukraine, by contrast, continues to face pressure across nearly the entire spectrum of warfare. On the surface, the frontline map looks largely unchanged. Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, and the northeastern regions remain the primary theaters of combat. Yet behind this seemingly static picture lies a relentless and brutal reality. Daily engagements persist in the form of artillery exchanges, drone strikes, reconnaissance operations, and limited infantry advances. The absence of dramatic territorial shifts does not indicate inactivity. It reflects the grinding tempo of a war of attrition. Russia is no longer focused on rapidly seizing major urban centers. Instead, its strategy emphasizes steady, incremental pressure, advancing slowly, deliberately, and methodically. This approach mirrors traditional Russian military doctrine, which prioritizes patience, sustainability, and long-term objectives over swift but risky maneuvers. Although Moscow has not captured a major city in recent months, this should not be mistaken for strategic stagnation. Rather than pursuing symbolic victories, Russian forces have concentrated on smaller settlements, rural villages, and tactically significant terrain often overlooked in public discourse. From a military perspective, these locations are far from insignificant. They function as buffer zones, supply corridors, artillery platforms, and tools to compress Ukraine's operational flexibility. Each village taken strengthens Russia's positional advantage, reinforcing its broader strategy in a prolonged war of exhaustion. The condition of these contested areas underscores the realities of modern warfare. Many villages were abandoned before any troops arrived. Civilian life had already ceased, infrastructure lay damaged, and essential services were non-existent. These spaces are no longer civilian environments but fully militarized zones. Russia is not administering population centers. It is securing operational depth and maintaining sustained combat pressure. This conflict is not fought for popularity or perception. It is fought for endurance. A common question concerns Russia's manpower. Is Moscow still deploying new infantry units to the front? The answer is yes, but with a markedly different approach compared to the early stages of the war. Large, unsupported assaults have largely disappeared. Instead, Russian forces employ smaller, rotating units integrated with drones, artillery, and real-time surveillance. Movements are carefully monitored, attacks are synchronized with fire support, and withdrawals are calculated rather than chaotic. This reflects a military that has adapted to the transparent, high-lethality environment of modern battlefields. Ukraine, meanwhile, has conducted withdrawals from certain positions. These moves do not signify a collapse, but rather tactical decisions aimed at preserving personnel and establishing more defensible lines. However, from a strategic standpoint, the necessity of repeated adjustments highlights the cumulative effect of Russian pressure. In a war of attrition, even limited territorial losses contribute to the gradual erosion of resources, stamina, and morale. The battlefield extends far beyond the front lines. Russian strikes against Ukraine's energy infrastructure have continued, particularly during winter months. Power plants, substations, and transmission networks remain priority targets. While these attacks severely affect civilian life, their military implications are equally significant. Disruptions to energy supply undermine logistics, industrial output, and the overall capacity to sustain prolonged resistance. Russia's strategy recognizes that modern warfare is waged not only in trenches, but also through industrial systems and national infrastructure. The Ukrainian government, under President Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership, has responded with a dual approach, maintaining military resistance while intensifying diplomatic efforts. Kiev has consistently rejected territorial concessions in exchange for peace, while urging Western partners to expand military and energy support. However, geopolitical realities impose limits. As the war continues, the economic and social burden on Ukraine and on its supporters continues to grow. Russia, by contrast, appears structurally better positioned for a prolonged conflict. Its defense industry, domestic control mechanisms, and political framework provide a degree of stability suited to long-term confrontation. At this stage, Moscow does not require dramatic victories. High-risk offensives are necessary. Every day without catastrophic losses is considered progress. Every month that Ukraine must expend energy reserves, ammunition stockpiles, and diplomatic capital aligns with Russia's strategic calculus. In this framework, time is not a liability for Russia, it is an asset. Time functions as a strategic weapon, operating slowly but relentlessly. By early 2026, the Russia-Ukraine war has become a fundamental test of national resilience. The decisive factor is no longer technological superiority alone, but the ability to sustain prolonged pressure without internal collapse. At present, Russia appears confident in playing this long game. Through a disciplined, measured, and patient approach, Moscow is not merely reacting to the conflict, it is shaping its tempo and trajectory.